in the relationship. I've already spoken about the bilateral part of it really. I don't think that we can be very comfortable with the transactional president, and I'm being very moved here in that sense, that we will have to watch what his mood is like. He's very volatile. He could be very unpredictable from time to time.
Right.
But the point really here is that our future, or what our policy space, as Manjeev said so often, will depend not only what USA and India are, but what happens in Europe, what happens in Middle East. Now, if Trump's policies are going to impact on the Middle East the way I look at it, I think there is a lot of risk factor there.
Okay, let me interrupt you there. I do need to take a short break at this stage. Come back to the very latest. It is headed towards the Republican camp. Donald Trump does seem to be headed back to the White House. We aren't calling it just yet, but for the Democrats to actually win from here on, that seems difficult. Live images from a Harris campaign rally to the left of your screen, a Trump campaign rally to the right. We expect both leaders to be there soon. Will Harris at some stage concede defeat? We don't know. I think she'd still be waiting. But now with substantial percentage of votes in the swing states, it looks very difficult for the Democrats. We'll be back in a moment.
NDTV proudly presents NDTV World Summit 2024, the India Century. I now request the Honorable Prime Minister to launch NDTV World and address the summit.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's inaugural session at the NDTV Summit outlined his vision for the India Century, driven by aspirational India.
हमारा प्रयास होगा भारत की सेंचुरी सिर्फ भारत की नहीं बल्कि पूरी मानवता की जीत की सेंचुरी बने.
The summit brought together prominent global leaders, highlighting India's pivotal role on the world stage.
Not just Indians trusting India's leadership, but the global South especially trusting India's leadership.
Permanent seat on the UN Security Council is something that should be India's right.
Canada is concerned, I think there are some very specific issues. I think a lot of people know that.
AI is going to be one of the most important, drivers.
It's a very exciting time for India, Indian cinema as well at a global level.
NDTV World Summit was more than just a conversation. It was a confluence of ideas poised to shape our global future.
NDTV proudly presents NDTV World Summit 2024, the India Century. I now request the Honorable Prime Minister to launch NDTV World.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's inaugural session at the NDTV Summit outlined his vision for the India Century, driven by aspirational India.
हमारा प्रयास होगा भारत की सेंचुरी सिर्फ भारत की नहीं बल्कि पूरी मानवता की जीत की सेंचुरी बने.
The summit brought together prominent global leaders, highlighting India's pivotal role on the world stage.
Not just Indians trusting India's leadership, but the global South especially trusting India's leadership.
Canada is concerned, I think there are some very specific issues. I think a lot of people know that.
Permanent seat on the UN Security Council is something that should be India's right.
AI is going to be one of the most important, drivers.
It's a very exciting time for India, Indian cinema as well at a global level.
NDTV World Summit was more than just a conversation. It was a confluence of ideas poised to shape our global future.
Seat to democracy in action.
Good morning and welcome. If you're here in India or in Asia, in the United States, good evening. We are broadcasting all over the world. And we can tell you it's a fantastic election draw in the United States. It does appear that Donald Trump is increasingly likely to become President of the United States. Still a couple of riders which do need to be issued. It's not over until it's well and truly over. But the reason why we do say that Trump seems to be decisively ahead at this stage is because in the swing states, in at least 4 swing states, which will be the make or break states in the United States, the Republicans appear to be ahead. So we'll talk about those swing states in a little while from now. I'm also joined by my colleague Gauri Dwivedi. Gauri, thanks very much for being with us. I think the question that really does need to be asked is, for the Democrats to win from here onwards, what would they need to pull off?
They would need to pull off very sizable victories. But the important bit, Vishnu, is as you pointed out, it's a fascinating election because the moment you slice and dice the data, Kamala Harris has not been able to hold on to Joe Biden's victories in 2020. She's trailing Joe Biden in almost all of the states, which is why the numbers as they are looking right now, one can go back and forth given how the leads are. But some of the data seems to suggest that she's a 2-1-6 because she's not been able to hold on to Joe Biden's gains. You take Georgia, which he won by a very slim margin. You take North Carolina, which of course has gone to Trump as well. Now, all those victories were for Joe Biden, which of course Kamala Harris was not able to retain. Pennsylvania is still up for grabs. Let's see whether Pennsylvania can really change Kamala Harris's fortunes right now, given the fact that Donald Trump is in fact leading in several of those counties. Some counties there's been a delay. There's some paper there. In fact, hand counting is going on, so it may delay the process. But what it looks like is that as of now, it's a really uphill task. And that's the reason why, Vishnu, let me show you right behind me is Kamala Harris's
Let's go full frame across
party at Howard. And you can see almost a very empty corridor right behind me. Most folks have actually walked out. What they wanted was a victory speech right now. Looks unlikely at this stage.
I'm just going to go through a couple of the numbers as well. Gauri, be with me. Now, in terms of the overall national situation in the United States, let's have that full screen graphic up if we can. So far, we're looking at 440 or 538 seats in terms of leads and results. In that, the Democrats have won 210, the Republicans have won 230, as you see on your screen. At this rate, the Republicans have a chance of winning of 60%. That's very considerable. The Democrats at 39%. Now, again, just going through this data a little bit more closely, and if we can just have the other map up, the full screen map of the traditional states which go to the Democrats, the swing states, and those states which go to the Republicans. Let's have the other map up. Then what the key point is, okay, so this is swing states. I'm just going to walk across to the swing states to give you an idea of what exactly it is that we are talking about over here. And the point is this. All of these are swing states. Now, this is absolutely critical because there are bastions in the United States which are Republican and which are Democrat. We'll try and have that map up in a little while from now as well. But these are the swing states that we see, states which could actually go either way. In that, North Carolina is already out as a result, and that's gone, as you can see, in red, so that's gone to the Republicans. Now, these numbers that you see over here are important because the numbers actually show the vote percentage in each of these states. So in the case of North Carolina that you see over here, given the percentage of votes which have been counted so far, the Republicans have won in North Carolina. Pennsylvania, that is so very important. 50.7% of the votes so far have gone to the Republicans, 48.3%. But there is still hope that places like Philadelphia, urban areas where there's a little bit more of the counting still to happen, Kamala Harris might catch up. But Pennsylvania, in a sense, a bellwether. And if the Democrats aren't doing well over here, it's going to be very difficult for them going forward. Let's take a look at the chances of winning graphic at this stage. The bigger picture, and it's Donald Trump at 60%, it's Kamala Harris at 39%. And if we can just have the overall map also, which shows the Republican strongholds, the Democrat strongholds, and the swing states, I'll just explain to our viewers what exactly it is that we are talking about. Not this, talking about the other large map showing all the strongholds. We'll change that, come to that in a while. But these are the states in blue where the Democrats have done well. Most of these are bastions of the Democrats in blue. They were expected to win over here. In fact, it's because the Republicans and in the areas marked red are expected to do well, and in blue that the Democrats are expected to do well, that it's just the swing states that make the big difference. Let's go back to Gauri Dwivedi at this stage. Gauri, give us again a sense of what would happen next. When would we be potentially at a stage when Trump comes and says that, look, I've won the election, or when would we be at a stage when Kamala actually concedes, or is there a sense that, look, wait, there's still a long way to go?
Well, it's difficult to say whether there's still a long way to go, but what one can put out from an electoral math point of view, Vishnu, is that if Kamala were to win, let's say Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and hold on to some of the other gains, then there is a possibility that some of this gap can be reduced. Having said that, the other important bit about Pennsylvania, I want to say, I was just going through some of the data. Parts of Pennsylvania, particularly Philadelphia, is very deeply, it has a huge representation of the African American community, 43%. But the data in Georgia is an eye-opener for the Harris campaign. 6% of the black male population in Georgia voted for Donald Trump. And if that is an indicator, then that tells you that even in a bellwether city like Philadelphia, which is so heavily, there's a huge concentration of black American votes, and Pennsylvania being a bellwether state, it may not be so easy for the Harris campaign to translate traditional Democrat strongholds into electoral college votes because of how Georgian black American male voters have voted. That's an indication of why this election has been so tough to call out. But at this stage, we probably need to wait for about 2 hours more, then we can finally call and decide who and know who will be the next president of the United States.
Now that's important. Now this is the map which I was referring to, and let's just take a look at this. Now it's a winner-take-all system in the US elections, which is why you've got a number underneath each state. The blue states are traditional bastions of the Democrats. The red states are traditional bastions of the Republicans. The states which are marked in yellow are swing states. We've been focusing extensively on that. Now, in a winner-takes-all system, if I just come up over here and try and explain to our viewers what it is that we are talking about, if you take a look at the state of California, you've got, and this has gone to Kamala Harris, incidentally, as expected, there are 54 electoral seats. The target for whoever wins the election in the US is 270, so 54 of the 270 has already gone to Kamala Harris. However, in many of the other states, and wherever the results and the leads have come in, it does appear that Trump is ahead. For example, in Texas, that of course is an old stronghold of his, that's gone to him. Florida as well has gone to the Trump camp. Those are among states which he's expected to win. But it's the ones which are in yellow, which could go either way, right, which is where Trump now appears to be doing well. So even if all the traditional blue strongholds are held by the Democrats and the Republicans hold all the red, and as I mentioned, each state has a certain number of electoral seats, so those all add up to that 270 magic mark. The total number, of course, is 538 in the US. It's these yellow states, when you start adding them up, Wisconsin 10, Michigan 15, Pennsylvania 19, North Carolina 16, and other states as well, Georgia 16, Arizona 11, Nevada 6. When you start adding these up, these electoral seats, who gets those, that's going to make that key difference. All right, Trump has won Georgia at this stage as well. So there's a change over here. This should be marked in red. It will be in a little while from now. So that's what the overall picture is in the US elections in terms of the Electoral College and what we are seeing over there. But let's give you the bigger picture now. The overall numbers that we have in terms of Trump and of Harris. Trump has a 60% chance at this stage of going to the White House. Kamala Harris at under 40%. There are 538 seats, as we have mentioned so far. So far, we've got 440 of those 538 results or leads which have been declared. The Democrats are at 210, which they've got leads or results in, and the Republicans at 230. So at this juncture, it appears that those swing states are absolutely critical. But as you can see, it's going to be difficult for Kamala Harris to actually pull ahead from here. The only way it does appear that the Democrats might win this election is if they do dramatically well in the swing states. Now, that depends entirely on the percentage of votes in. In the case of Arizona, 50% of states, of the 50% of votes in have been counted. It's neck and neck over there. Kamala Harris would need to win all of the other votes, essentially, which come in. In Georgia, it's gone to the Republicans so far with 93% done, or percentage of votes in. It seems very difficult for her to be able to reverse that. We've got J.D. Vance now, the running mate of Donald Trump, who's going to be coming out and speaking, and we do expect a very clear signal from him, an indicator of where the Republicans actually see this election going. And I would suggest that we are increasingly moving to a situation when the Republicans may be starting out with celebrations, all right? Alexander Braun, who's been a pollster looking at all of these numbers, it was meant to be really close. Is there a possibility, Alexander, of that taking place? Or on the basis of what you're seeing, do you believe that it's going to be a simple victory for Donald Trump?
I don't think so. I think this is still way too early to call. The trends have definitely been going in Donald Trump's way over the past couple hours, but it's not done in any way. There is still what's called the blue wall, which is the northern 3 or 4 states from Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan to Pennsylvania that traditionally vote for Democrats, although they are swing states, and they have not been called yet. Kamala Harris needs to win them all at this point, which is not an easy task, but it is still possible. But all eyes are on Pennsylvania right now. We will see the late-breaking Philadelphia votes coming in about now. And then we also have the mail-in ballots. A lot of people now mail in their ballots, and those get counted late, especially in a state like Pennsylvania, when they can only start counting them today. And that's a pretty long, laborious process. So we have to watch Pennsylvania, and that'll be the key deciding state.
Let's talk about Pennsylvania. 19 electors, so absolutely important for both camps. 66% of votes are in right now. The Republicans are at 50.7, the Democrats at 48.3. Even with the remaining 56% of votes which still need to be counted, for Kamala Harris to pull ahead of the Republicans would need a fair amount of work. So it's not going to be easy. But the assumption is that urban areas where the Democrats are stronger is where she might pick up steam. Is that right?
That's absolutely right. It's also areas that have the larger non-white population that typically breaks for Democrats, although Donald Trump has been trying to make inroads, especially among men. And these districts get counted the last because they're the largest districts or precincts in the state, and it just simply takes longer to count them. And therefore, we're going to see the remaining votes that are being counted favor Democrats. Whether it's going to be enough, we will see. Pardon me. And but Pennsylvania is also interesting again in the sense that the mail-in ballots get counted even after the most of the in-person votes are counted. Again, there's a presumption that they will favor Democrats, maybe not by much, but at least by some. And so at no point I would think that it's possible to call Pennsylvania at this point.
All right, let's go across now to Florida. We've got my colleague Jennifer Glass who joins us. Give us a sense of what's happening around you. I see I can see lots of lights behind you. Are those police cars? I believe you're not too far from Mar-a-Lago, where Donald Trump is with Elon Musk right now. Are we getting close to a stage when he might actually come out and say a few words?
Well, this is the convention center right here. This is where Donald Trump is expected to address the public. We understand that they are moving people from Mar-a-Lago here. We've seen 2 motorcades come here so far. There was a helicopter overhead, so that might have been J.D. Vance when they moved him from the convention center back to Mar-a-Lago earlier today. That was the formation that they used. So we are expecting Donald Trump to speak from here at some point. But as the point has been made, many of the swing states have not yet been called. I think until he feels he has a very clear path to 270 or a clincher on 270, he may wait. But we do understand that folks from Mar-a-Lago, about 2.5 miles that way, are heading here to the convention center ahead of Trump's speech. There's been a real sense of excitement here. People have been lining the streets here. People were behind me just a few minutes ago with Trump flags. The motorcades went in just over there. As you can see, there are security fences all around the convention center, but traffic is flowing pretty freely. A huge security presence here, though. They have shut down streets here and there. They shut down the roads when the convoys make a move. But very much excitement among Trump supporters here today. They've gathered here in large numbers. They were lining the street earlier, and you can see some of them now moving out because all the action's going to move inside.
All right, let's go across to Natasha Israni joining us now from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Natasha, look, at this stage, it's all about, well, it's almost all about Pennsylvania at this stage. 50.7 to the Republicans, 48.3 to the Democrats, 66% of votes which have come in. So my question is actually about votes which are still to come in terms of being counted. Is that in urban centers? And traditionally, is that a Democrat stronghold?
Well, the remaining votes are actually not only from the urban centers, they're from all over the state, and they would include rural areas as well as small towns and villages. So really, it's very difficult to predict how that will go because it's going to be a mix of different factors. But it is narrowing and it is becoming more difficult for Kamala Harris in Pennsylvania, but it's not over yet. So you're right, Pennsylvania with its 19 electoral college votes still being watched keenly. And now we are joined by actually a young Republican woman. She's actually a lawyer, and she's been here all this night at the Republican Watch Party. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling better than I did when I first came to the Watch Party. I think you've seen a gradual increase in morale, as well as some of the statistics that are coming out now and the votes that are coming out now. So I think it's progressively gotten a lot more positive.
Now, this is a very close race, but in Pennsylvania, earlier in the polls, you were seeing Kamala Harris a little ahead. It wasn't a guarantee, but she was ahead. What do you think is changing? What are the factors? What appeals to you as well about Donald Trump and what he promises?
I think for Pennsylvania, there are a lot of different issues that are on the table for different demographics of people, and obviously everybody votes for the issues that are within their interests. For Pennsylvania, I think a big issue was fracking, and so both of the candidates went back and forth on that issue. But for me personally, I think it was just a matter of looking at the governing of both parties. We've seen Kamala Harris and the Biden administration, and they're governing, and we've seen Donald Trump. And I think at the end of the day, it's who you believe that the country was better off under, and taking a
lot of being said also about families where the husband might be voting for Trump and the wife is voting for Kamala Harris. Obviously, not every family, but I'm curious, as a young Republican woman, when it comes to the question of having the right to your reproductive freedom, how do you stand on that issue? And are there any concerns for you when it came to Donald Trump?
Not particularly, only because I see the issue of reproductive rights as less of a federal issue, and I don't see, even if there was an opportunity for Kamala Harris to come into office and somehow secure the right for women federal government to do, and it'd be challenged. And so regardless of what party was in office, whether the Republicans came in and wanted a ban or the Democrats came in and wanted that guaranteed right, I think either case it would be difficult for either party to work on a federal level. So for me, the issue of abortion was less of a factor in this election, although my personal stance is it's actually, I'm more so on the fence in terms of reproductive rights and in terms of pro-choice versus pro-life.
And you talked about how it's not personality that you were thinking so much more, but more about the issues and what you think is going to be better for you and for the country. But I'm still curious, when one of the things that we hear a lot from the Trump campaign is rhetoric against immigrants, against women sometimes. How do you respond to that? Did that ever bother you?
I don't know if it personally bothers me, and I think part of that comes from the influence of my parents who are immigrants to this country and do support, Donald Trump and are not bothered by his rhetoric. And so seeing immigrants who actually do support him makes me feel like, it's more about what he does and less about what he says. And I don't think that he is the perfect role model in terms of rhetoric, but we got to look at the agenda and what he's doing in the policy.
So there we have it. We are speaking to a young Republican lawyer telling us that they're looking beyond the rhetoric when it comes to Donald Trump. And at the moment, very happy and satisfied. They're still not calling it a complete victory yet, but really hopeful of their candidate, Donald Trump, winning this election.
All right, thanks very much. Let's go straight across to Chris Casquejo joining us from Michigan. Thanks, Chris, very much for being with us. If you look at Michigan, it's 52.4 in favor of the Republicans to 45.9, or I should say 45.9 in favor of the Democrats. No, I'll say that again, 52.4 in favor of the Republicans to 45.9 for the Democrats, with 49% of the votes in. Do you have any idea at this stage of where the remaining votes would be coming in from? Would these be urban areas, suburban areas, or both?
Yes, we have not seen the vote come in from Detroit yet, which is where I am. And, we were expecting it to come in, within the last hour, but the totals are not in. And obviously that would be a huge, it's a majority Black population. We would expect that Harris would run up the score in terms of the margins in this major urban area. But, whether it's enough to overcome that, roughly 200,000 vote lead that Donald Trump has jumped out to, we'll have to see. But the fact of the matter is that it's a very narrow path now for Kamala Harris to take the White House, with Georgia being projected for Donald Trump. So two of the Sun Belt battleground states, Georgia and North Carolina, have gone Trump's way, and now it's really, her path is basically keeping the blue wall that Biden won back in 2020 of Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, if she wants to be in the White House.
That is interesting. What we've also learned in just the last 5 minutes or so is that Kamala Harris will not be addressing her supporters today. That's not going to be taking place. I don't know if that's a sign of her just wanting to wait till it's all over, or it stems from a sense of disappointment at what she's seeing right now. What is your sense, Chris, and typically how does it go in US elections in terms of calling the elections? How much longer do we need to wait? Because could we be in a situation where in the next 2 or 3 hours we see Trump come out or J.D. Vance come out and say that, look, we are headed to the White House?
Yeah, you might. I mean, that's what happened in 2020 before the votes were counted. So there's a chance that might happen again. But I wouldn't read anything into Kamala Harris not speaking tonight because, again, those, the votes are still out in those 3 blue wall battleground states. And that really is what the Harris campaign has said was their path to victory. And they expected the margins to be razor thin. So it just depends on how she's performing in those urban and suburban areas, whether she can run up the score enough to overcome Trump's, wide leads in the rural counties. That's why the maps are so red in these states with a few blue dots, but those blue dots have much more, population because they're urban and suburban centers.
All right, Chris, we'll keep coming back to you, but I'm joined now by Rich Logis, the Florida co-chair for Republicans for Harris. Thank you very much, Rich, for being with us. A great sense of relief, I'm sure, for you at this stage. The numbers look positive for Donald Trump, not just in Florida, but across the country. Is it your sense that in the next couple of hours, we could see perhaps J.D. Vance or Trump himself come out and say that, look, it seems we are headed to the White House?
Thanks for having me. Always happy to join you here and your team. I'd be saying the same, irrespective of who was waiting for the votes to come in. Whether it was Mr. Trump, if he was on the other side here for waiting for votes, I would say that all the voters who cast votes, we thank you for that, and they deserve to have their votes counted. Do I think it's a distinct possibility former President Trump will do that? Probably. But we know that it's going to be many, many hours until all of those votes that were cast are in fact counted. So I would caution him, although I suspect he probably wouldn't heed my advice, to not declare victory. I don't think anyone should declare victory at this point because we are still waiting to make sure that everyone who enfranchised themselves, that we make sure that those votes are counted so we can have a final tally and we can accept the results because our elections are free and fair.
The only point, Rich, and I take your word of caution, absolutely you're right, that, let's not jump the gun. But if you do look at the swing states, I think that the key number now is the percentage of votes which are in. And if you look at Wisconsin, 76%, so that's robust. If you look at Pennsylvania, 66, North Carolina, a whopping 92, Michigan, 49, so not yet halfway, Georgia, 94%, Arizona, 50%. So in many of these states, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Michigan, and Georgia, right? And it's neck and neck in Arizona, but by and large, it's the Republicans, Donald Trump, who's leading. With this percentage of votes in, the path for Kamala Harris appears to have narrowed substantially. She'd need to win a huge number of the remaining votes in all of these states if she has any chance. That's my sense of it. Would you agree?
It is a narrow path, but I would say that a narrow path is not a closed path. And something that may, in fact, actually pleasantly surprise all of us is that I believe that many of those votes that we're still waiting to be counted are some of those single-issue voters whom I've been talking about quite a bit in the lead up to this election. And those are single-issue voters who are actually do comprise a diverse assortment of voters ideologically. They are predominantly from urban, densely populated areas. And even with a narrow pathway, I still do not believe that that means that anyone at this moment should be declaring victory. But having said all of that, yes, it is true that the math might be an uphill battle right now, but just because it may be uphill does not mean that the race is over.
Let's go straight across. Thanks very much, Rich Logis, for speaking to us. Important words of caution. It is a narrow path ahead for Harris, but it's not a closed path at just this stage. But it does appear that Trump is well on his way to winning these elections. If this trend does continue, then the Republicans' chance of winning, Trump's chance of winning, now at a whopping 71% and just 27% for Kamala Harris. Alistair, let me go across to you at this stage. Give us a sense of what you are hearing, of what you're seeing. Is there a sense of despondency in the Democrat camp and overwhelming confidence among Republicans that, look, it's very difficult for them to lose from here on?
Yes, there is certainly a great deal of disappointment as far as the Democrats go. I was just at a Democratic party, a watch party, and I met these two gentlemen here. They're Kashmiri, now American Indians. This is Ashish and Raj, and they are both Republicans. So they were at a Democratic party supporting a friend, but they're actually Republicans, and they've been having a drink, enjoying the fact that perhaps Donald Trump will be president again.
That's right. That's right. We feel that he's winning all the key races in the country. So I feel that he will cross anything between 310 to 325.
Wow, so more than just the 270 that we're talking about. Now, you are both Republican supporters. I want to ask you, people say that Donald Trump is a racist, he's against immigrants. How could you support a president like that?
Hey, I'm here to support my friend Suhas, who's a Democrat, and I'm incredibly happy that he has won tonight.
This is
a
the
different question.
Right. So Suhas Subramaniam was elected tonight as the first Indian American from the East Coast to the House of Congress, and that's what Ashish is talking about. But I was just wondering, as a Republican, how do you feel about Donald Trump being back in power, potentially?
So I've kind of always been a centrist. I don't think I want to call myself Republican, although I did support Glenn Youngkin for the governor's race in Virginia. And I always look at the candidate, and I look at the merits of the candidate, whether that's Democratic or Republican. I know that Suhas is going to be a great congressman representing his district, working for his people and being very supportive of them and working for them for their benefit. And I'm incredibly excited about that and happy about that. At the same time, I feel like today we are at a crossroads in this country where we have to figure out like what are the policies that are really going to work in advantage of this country and get us to be the superpower and be.
And who can bring that?
I think that's Trump. Yeah, I think that's Trump.
All right. And a final question to you, Raj. We know that North Carolina has been called for Trump. What do you think worked in his favor in North Carolina this time around?
I think you have to look at the overall picture. The overall picture is if you look at a 20-year or 25-year time frame, it is the democracy which wins in this country. So whether it is Democrats or Republicans, overall the country is moving forward. That's the first thing which you should know. The second thing is that it's not that Republicans are against immigrants. That's a wrong notion. It is that Republicans are against the illegal immigrants, and that any one of us should be. And that's the main thing which you should remember about the policy differences between the two countries.
So there you have it, Vishnu, those reactions coming in at this late hour. It's 1 a.m. Thank you guys for staying to talk to us. Handing it back to you in our studios in Delhi.
Alistair, thanks so much for joining us with those regular updates from Virginia. Let's also go across to Alex for a quick question at the moment. Alexander, clearly things have not worked out the way the Democrats and Kamala Harris envisioned it to, at least so far. We're not calling it anything. But what do you really think went wrong for Harris and her team?
Well, we don't know yet, right? So we really have to be patient, and we have to wait, another, few hours, if not a day or two. But look, like there is clearly a major gender gap that we knew was in place here, where women disproportionately favored Harris and men Trump, and it looks like. And the results were very close, meaning the turnout was really key. And it's possible that, just not enough women have showed up, or too many men have showed up. That's definitely one of the possibilities. The other one is that Trump has clearly ran a smart campaign because, he has won North Carolina, he has very likely won Georgia. So the South is all red, belongs to Republicans, which poses a huge problem for Democrats because they now have to win just about every single of the remaining states up north.
Also, Alexander, it seems to be a bad time for incumbent governments world over. Can Trump's early projected victory as we speak somehow be also attributed to the fact that there's an anti-incumbent wave as far as Japan, Austria, Germany is concerned, and now globally?
To some extent, you might be right. It's hard to generalize, obviously, for the whole world, but there is a trend where voters, tend to vote more intuitively, more emotionally, and like to express their discontent through voting the incumbents out worldwide, whether you're in Europe or in the US or in Asia. So I think there's to some extent that trend. I think there's less policy evaluation. I know that there was much of it before, but there's even less of it now. And it's really more on the sort of the emotional level, the trend level. We do live in an age of social media that is fast and flips much faster than the way we used to live before.
A quick question, just in terms of what's increasingly staring us in the face in the US. Senate has gone to the Republicans. The Democrats would retain Congress. The White House is going to the Republicans at this stage. The Supreme Court is Republican as well. So this is what America might look like for the next several years. A complete wave against the Democrats and a certain way of thinking and a certain notion of democracy, which we've seen certainly in the pre-Trump era.
Well, to some extent, yes. Look, the math on the Senate side of things was really stacked up against the Democrats this time around. The way it works, Senate changes every 2 years, a third of it changes. And so Democrats were really defending many more states than the Republicans were. So, clearly, loss of the Senate is a big issue. We'll see what happens on the House side. That's not clear either. Trump has succeeded in reshaping the Supreme Court. He's also nominated before Biden, obviously, many of the lower instance judges. So, this could be, the next 2 years could definitely be Republican dominated.
Meanwhile, Alexander, I want to touch upon another important issue, which is the United States' relationship with China. Now, let's say under Trump's presidency, so under Trump 2.0, can we expect more stability as far as your relationship with Beijing is concerned, or are we looking at another trajectory?
Look, Washington, D.C. is a very divided city, and Democrats and Republicans don't agree on almost anything. If they do agree on something, it is on their stance against China. So I would say that as far as the U.S.-China relations go, it's actually not going to be dramatically different whether Democrats or Republicans, control the control Congress and the White House. In that sense, China is the major opponent of the United States. It's seen like that across the board and across the parties.
But do you agree with the view that some in China would actually rather face another term with Trump again because he's more of a wild card as opposed to Kamala Harris, who they say is less likely to make sweeping deals?
Look, I certainly don't want to speak for Beijing and what they want, but I think I will leave it up to them. I don't want to speak to what Beijing might want.
Well, let's go across to Puneet Ahluwalia, who also joins us at this stage. Puneet, it seems that the path open for Kamala Harris appears, to be shrinking. But if I was just to sort of look at the numbers, the percentage of votes in the swing states, there's still some room for maneuver for the Democrats. For example, in Arizona, only 50% of the votes are in. In Michigan, 59% of the votes are in. Nevada, we really don't know what's happening at this stage. Even Pennsylvania, 66% of the votes are in. And if you look at the numbers in the Democrats and Republicans, yes, the Republicans are ahead, but in most cases, it's just about 2%. So are we getting ahead of ourselves by saying, or is anybody getting ahead of themselves by saying that it's going to be Trump all the way?
Well, at least we have the Senate and the House we feel strong about. White House, yes, there's a path for President Trump. It's looking concrete as he won Georgia and North Carolina. But yes, we are optimistic because we see, and when you start looking at just states and the counties and the success President Trump has had, and more importantly, how Kamala Harris has not been able to match the numbers of President Biden, I believe it starts to become more and more optimistic that we will win the White House. But more importantly, I believe that that tomorrow morning we should have an answer, a clear answer, and a clear win.
And do we expect Trump himself to speak, or J.D. Vance, I believe, is preparing to speak? When Vance does speak, do you expect it to be virtually an election victory speech?
Well, I believe President Trump will not give a choice to anybody to speak but himself first, because that's what President Trump is. He loves the mic and he can go on. Apparently, he was speaking till almost 2 o'clock last night campaigning. He loves to tell the people. He loves America. He loves the people, and he wants to get his message out, and he wants to thank the people who have really come out and stood by him, because he was taken down, he was shot at, he was almost assassinated. So this man truly loves the country. He's very passionate about what he believes in, and that's the reason you see a great momentum, not only in the middle America, but also in the large immigrant communities, which are really coming out and flocking and resonating his message, including the Arab Americans, the Hispanic Americans, the Black Americans. And again, if you see on Kamala Harris' side, she rejected the Catholic vote. So why she's losing in Pennsylvania, it's one of those reasons. And we've seen also the Hispanics come out in Pennsylvania, come out and support President Trump, as they did in Florida. So I think he's a phenomenon. He's a tenacious campaigner. And I think that's why we are having these victories and across. And we've seen the success of flipping the Senate. And that's going to help President Trump get the right people nominated to carry on his agenda from the last term. And you will see more peace through strength, because you will see the Abraham Accord now unfold in its true essence, what he had envisioned. More peace between Israel and Middle East countries, and more importantly, re-engaging with North Korea, and most importantly, finding a way to have peace in Ukraine and Europe. And most importantly, the European partners have to cough up more dollars for their safety and security.
Well, Puneet, on that point then, global actors noticed that the United States actually applies one standard to Russia's actions on Ukraine and another to Israel's in Gaza. In fact, many of Trump's critics, as things are looking up for him, I must also mention that many of Trump's critics have raised questions about his climate change policies, the future of NATO, whether NATO is going to be in tricky hands. Where does this all stand at the moment? How do we make sense of it?
It sounds very clear. It's very. If you see his previous administration, peace through strength, if you saw he was engaging very effectively with on the Abraham Accord with the Middle East, with the Saudis, the UAE, and the Israeli community, Israeli leadership, Netanyahu is a great partner and a friend of the United States and President Trump. I believe the proxy war, which are started and initiated by Iran, should come to a standstill. I think there'll be a way to curtail or contain Iran, and more importantly, that the freedom in Iran come across, because there are a lot of people who want a free Iran, an open Iran, because at one point Iran was a great ally of the United States, and we have seen that the Shah of Iran, his son has stood up and said, "Look, I'm willing to go out and take the leadership realm, leadership of Iran." So multiple opportunities will happen under President Trump, because he's strong and decisive, and he's very clear where he wants to be. And I believe we should re-engage with North Korea, and we should find a way to all work together. And I think India will play a very important role. Despite all the people talking about that he's going to double the tariff, he's going to do whatever he is going to do. But at the same time, India also has to realize that President Trump's also means bottom line, which means what is important for the United States, how does it create jobs, but how is it mutually beneficial for both nations? And I think both him and Modi have great dynamics, and I hope that translates into success for both nations.
Right, we will of course be patient and wait for the results to trickle in. But in terms of the other aspect, Vishnu, has been the record money that's been pumped into this election by both sides. Many say it's democracy at work, but also many say that it could also be bribing your voters and all. I want to find out where Puneet stands on this.
Well, if you saw our Kamala Harris has become the party of the rich and the elitists. You saw Oprah Winfrey, and you saw Mike Jagger, you saw Ricky Martin, all the famous, and Gaga, who was out there supporting her. Uh, and that's what the difference is. That's why President Trump is winning among the large, hardworking Americans, because now the Democratic Party is perceived as warmongers, the party of the rich and the elitist. And that's the reason why you see the LinkedIn and the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world supporting him. And whereas people who are adopted Americans, just like Musk and myself, are supporting President Trump because we believe in the American dream. So yes, money is a big part of it, of the play, but it doesn't help. It's the right message. That's what matters.
You're talking about Musk. Musk has been tweeting away.
Yes,
Firstly, he's tweeted to say that there's a record usage of his platform. And then he's got a meme or picture of his AI, whatever, of him inside the Oval Office, carrying something.
With Trump.
Yeah, and he's got
busy.
a picture of him and Trump as well. And he says the future is going to be so hot. And he's got an emoji.
Classic Musk.
Yeah, that's right. So Elon Musk doesn't have much more to say. I mean, he's already celebrating, as are all of these people on our screens right now. This is from a stage which has been set up for J.D. Vance to speak. And I presume this is near Mar-a-Lago, where the US president is. He's been watching all that's been happening. And he'll come out and speak. And we do know that Kamala Harris is not going to be addressing her supporters just yet. Perhaps not for the next several hours. Tonight, India time, I mean, if she does speak, she would speak then. Again, there is still that window for the Democrats to sort of sneak in through if they do really well in the swing states. But that really depends on how many of these states, how many of the votes are coming in from urban areas where it is believed that Kamala Harris is going to be strong. But let's just have the overall graphics up on the screen so that we can just go through what the present trends are right now. Firstly, what you do see here are Republican states. Now, these are the votes over there. There are no surprises over here. This is not really what we are talking about, because there are two bastions in the US. One, of course, the Republican states. It's going all to the Republicans. No surprises there. If you take a look at the Democrat states, you'll have lots of blue states as well. So let's change the image, go across to the blue states, and here you'll have the Democrat states. And again, no surprises at all over there. All of these are going the Democrat way. So as has been predicted by pollsters, it is the swing states which are really going to decide which party wins or which president comes to power. So I'm going to walk up over here to give you an idea of what it is that we are talking about. There are 7 swing states in the United States. You've got them on your screen over there. Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Michigan, as well up in the north, and Wisconsin. Now, there are 2 states, Georgia and North Carolina, which at this stage are projected to go to Donald Trump. It seems very difficult, even with some votes left to be counted, for these to turn and go towards the Democrat side, which leaves Kamala Harris with 5 states, right? Sorry, 4 states. 4 states where she still has a bit of a chance. But is that going to necessarily 5 states? I should correct myself. Give her a real opportunity to do well. It seems difficult because Trump is doing quite well. So let's take a look, for example, in Arizona. That's where Arizona is in the United States.
Look at the margin, Vishnu. It's 0.4.
Yeah, I was speaking about Arizona. Let's go back to the previous screen, if we can, please. So Arizona over there, it's neck and neck in Arizona right now. Too close to call. It really depends on who's going to go which way. Kamala Harris needs to win Arizona. There are no 2 ways about it. With North Carolina and Georgia having gone to the Republicans. Georgia we've already discussed. Let's talk about Michigan. That's up to the north over there. It was going in favor of the Democrats. That's changed. It's now quite clearly with the Republicans. Nevada, we don't have any numbers for Nevada. That's a bit surprising because we haven't had them all morning. Let's go to the next page and give you the remaining 3 states over here. North Carolina with the Republicans. They won that state. Pennsylvania, that's where this election is going to be written. It's about a 2% gap between Trump and Harris. But at this stage, unless there is something dramatic which goes in favor of the Democrats, whether it's the urban voter, whether it's voters, minority voters, women voters, voters in urban centers like Philadelphia, it's going to be difficult for Kamala Harris. Wisconsin, again, clearly in favor of Trump supporters at this stage. So, they've won 2, 5 remaining, and they could easily win 2 or 3 more, in which case, it's a done deal. There's not much left over here. Parmeshwar?
In fact, Vishnu, we also have Ajay Jain Bhutoria, who's the Deputy Finance Chair of the Democratic Party, joining us. Mr. Bhutoria, things are not really looking up for your party at the moment, but are you still hopeful?
I disagree with you. This is what was expected and is playing out the way. And we are going to win Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Nevada. That will put across 276, and that will help us win the election. As one of your speaker was saying earlier, there are different kind of voters, urban voters, rural voters, early mail-in ballots, and so many other things. So you see ups and downs in the numbers coming in Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. But when all the mail-in ballots and everything is counted, we are going to win these 4 states and we are going to win the election. And we might lose Arizona, which will put Trump to 255, but that's okay. Once we get clarity by the end of the day tomorrow, we will be seeing the finish line. Kamala will be the next president.
But Mr. Bhutoria, you mentioned Michigan. In Detroit, people are actually pretty unhappy with the Democratic Party. You think you could have done something better there in terms of election strategy? Because clearly Trump and his team have capitalized upon it so far.
Well, I mean, there are so many diverse groups of people, and each group has their own, success and pain points. And the President Biden and Vice President Harris has been addressing those things. Whether it could have been done better? Yes, of course. There is always chance and opportunity for doing things better. But ultimately, it's about winning and doing good for the people, and that's what we tend to do, continue doing.
The overall, numbers, 461 of 536, 538 seats, leads and results is what I'm talking about. The Republicans are at 247, the Democrats at 214. The Republicans have a chance of winning at 71%. What Ajay Jain Bhutoria is talking about are the swing states, where he believes that because there is a significant percentage of votes which are still remaining, there is a chance for Kamala Harris and the Democrats to do well. But Ajay, my question to you, let's talk about Wisconsin. You are 4 percentage points, behind the Republicans are at 51.2, the Democrats at 47.3. A whopping 76% of votes have already come in. So, the path for you to actually get ahead and win that state looks difficult. If you look at Pennsylvania, there's a robust 66% of votes which are in. You are 2 percentage points behind the Republicans, right? And, it's the same story for all of the other states.
I hear you. I just want to share one thing, and our campaign chair, Jen O'Malley, sent out an email 2 days back, and she clearly outlined how this is going to play out. And this is exactly how this is playing out. She outlined that in early voting, early reporting, you will see that Trump is ahead. But when everything plays out, we will win. So I am going by what our campaign chair has said in that email, which clearly outlined. And she also outlined that Trump might declare victory early, maybe tonight or early tomorrow. And but I won't be surprised if she does that.
All right. So going down to the wire is what you are saying. That's been the sense of pollsters as well, that it is going absolutely down to the wire. Thank you very much for being with us. So Parmeshwar, next couple of hours, America is going to be sleeping by and large. Yes. We will be keeping track of the results.
We'll be on our toes.
We'll be on our toes. But I think by about 7, 8 p.m. IST this evening onwards, we'll get a clearer idea of who's going to be president of the United States.
Right now, UNICEF is supporting millions of children in emergencies around the world. It's what they do. Teams are bringing emergency supplies to children affected by the crisis in Gaza, healthcare and safe spaces for Ukraine's children, and medical supplies for children in Yemen. £10 could help bring safe drinking water and life-saving therapeutic food Search UNICEF Supplies online or text supplies to 85525. Your support brings hope for children caught in crisis.
Family life. It's made of ups and downs, and those little moments. But should the unthinkable happen to you? Life insurance from Legal & General can help look after monthly bills, the roof over their heads, childcare costs, and most importantly, your family. Because no one protects more families in the UK than us. Premiums start from £5 a month and they never rise. Plus there's a £120 gift card after you apply. Legal & General. Ensure life goes on.
We all love a bargain, like these flatmates who switched to Vodafone and are now paying less for their full fibre broadband, which means they can still stream 2 shows at the same time, but for less. Still gaming with mates, but for less. He's behind you. Reliable full fibre broadband for less. And now switching to Vodafone full fibre broadband is easy with one touch switch. We sort everything out for you. We even call your current provider and help towards any leaving fees. So switch today.
It's that time again as citizens put their doors in the draw for People's Postcode Lottery's biggest ever prize pot.
In the December draws, you and your neighbours could win a share of £32.5 million.
Whether you own or rent, absolutely any door can enter. Sign up before midnight on the 1st of December.
A share of £32.5 million could be yours, but only if your door is in the draw.
If you have cancer, it might affect your finances. But Macmillan Support is just a free phone call away.
Can I get the sack for having cancer?
Whether you need to ask about work.
What if I can't afford my home?
Struggling with bills.
I can't afford the heating.
Energy worries.
How am I going to support my family?
Or sorting out your finances. Whatever you need to ask about money and cancer, we're here 7 days a week. Call us free now on 0808 239 1000.
I've been thinking, I want to plan my funeral so it feels more like a celebration. My parents always said I was born dancing. I just love it. Bhangra, disco, even line dancing. So when my time comes, I want to have music, dancing, the lot.
With over 150 years experience, you can count on Co-op Funeral Care to help you pre-plan the funeral you want. To find out more, visit Co-op Funeral Care or give us a call.
Dreams come true, come to the other side.
Join me and the Style Squad. Shop now exclusively at Freeman's.
When you're setting up a new nest, starting your own flock, or they just keep on growing. Get the flexibility you need with Very Pay. Pay now, pay later, or pay over 3 months and pay no interest. We'll even send you helpful payment reminders. Shop the online store for fashion, home and more. Very Pay. Ways to pay that work your way.
Greetings, wonderful people of Britain. I'm Tom Allen, and it's my pleasure to declare delivering good news is a daily routine with People's Postcode Lottery. Curious on how it works? Well, prick up your ears and let me explain. Enter with your postcode to play. Own it, rent it, doesn't matter. Winning postcodes are announced every day with a whole host of delightful prizes that could be won by you and your neighbours.
And in our December draws, you could win a share of £32.5 million.
It costs £12 for a monthly subscription that guarantees you entry into all draws every month. You're also doing your part for charities, with players having raised £1.4 billion so far. Want to find out more or join? Then why not hop onto our website or dial our digits for a chit-chat. For a chance to win, sign up before midnight on the 1st of December. You never know, good news could be delivered to your postcode.
When Tony passed, we wanted to celebrate him his way. All he ever spoke about was bite this, bite that. I'll never forget our first date. Huge grin on his face as he rode up on that big noisy thing. And that's exactly the way he'd want to be remembered.
At Co-op Funeral Care, We know everyone is different. That's why we offer funeral plans to funeral services that are personal, every step of the way.
Family life. It's made of ups and downs, and those little moments. But should the unthinkable happen to you? Life insurance from Legal & General can help look after monthly bills, the roof over their heads, childcare costs, and most importantly, your family. Because no one protects more families in the UK than us. Premiums start from £5 a month and they never rise. Plus there's a £120 gift card after you apply. Legal & General. Ensure life goes on.
Guarantees, and it will be Rahul Gandhi who will be there in Maharashtra during that announcement. A third of Ranthambhore's tigers are missing, and Rajasthan government has set up a probe committee to investigate the disappearance of 25 tigers in the last 1 year. A very good afternoon. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Divya Vadwa. Let's get you a top story. That's Mysuru Lokayukta police that's questioning Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah in the Muda scam. Do remember his wife has already been questioned by the investigating officers. This is the first time that the Chief Minister is being questioned in the case. They are investigating the role that the Chief Minister has played in the allotment of 14 Muda sites to his wife Parvati back in 2021. The Chief Minister is confronted at the moment with several issues, from Muda scam to Waqf, ahead of the impending by-elections in 3 important constituencies in rural Karnataka. The Lokayukta has already filed a first information report and FIR on the orders of a special court. Besides Siddaramaiah, it's also his wife as well as his brother-in-law who have been named in the FIR. Do remember that the Enforcement Directorate has also filed a money laundering case against Siddaramaiah and others, and it is the Enforcement Directorate that had conducted searches in various locations of Karnataka in connection with the Muda-linked money laundering case. Let's listen into what Priyank Kharge had to say.
Why should the CM resign? All right. The Honorable BJP President, the state BJP President, has a ED case against him. ECIR has been registered. Has he resigned? It's a very serious offence. And this is a politically motivated case. Everybody knows it. How they misuse governor's office, how they are misusing other constitutional institutions. So there's nothing surprising. And Honorable CM has very clearly, categorically told that, look, this is politically motivated, I'm a law-abiding citizen. Whatever the constitutional institutions ask me to do, I will do. And he's sure that he's going to come out of this.
And we have Pratibha joining us to get us more on this. Pratibha, you know, as trouble and worry that mounts as far as the Chief Minister is concerned, from the ED now to Lokayukta, you know, all questioning him in regarding his role as far as the Mysuru-linked Muda scam is concerned.
That's right, and this assumes significance mainly because this is the first time he is being questioned by the Lokayukta officials with respect to the Muda scam. The Lokayukta has earlier conducted investigation as well as interrogated several of Siddaramaiah's relatives, including his brother-in-law as well as his wife. And today we are talking of Siddaramaiah giving his answers with respect to the entire allegations that have been haunting him for a couple of months now. This also comes amidst calls for his resignation. The BJP has been relentlessly protesting as well as demanding a CBI probe there. But with respect to this particular investigation, it is definitely a two-pronged attack of sorts when it comes to Siddaramaiah, mainly because you have the Lokayukta investigation on one hand, you have the ED investigation on the other. The ED has been looking into the money laundering aspect of it and the financial transactions concerned with it. The ED has also conducted its raids with respect to several officials related to Muda there. And now we have the election, that is the impending by-election in 3 constituencies in Karnataka, and Siddaramaiah has a lot to deal with. On one hand, he has the Lokayukta investigation, the Muda allegations with respect to ED, and on the other, he has the Waqf controversy that has also been clouding with respect to the political flashpoint here between the Congress and the BJP here. The consequences of this in terms of not just the election but also his political career is something that we need to closely watch. Back to you.
Right, all eyes on the Lokayukta there questioning the Chief Minister in regard to the role that he's played in the allocation as far as those 14 Mysuru, the Muda sites are concerned, to his wife Parvati back in 2021. We will keep coming back to you, Pratibha. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, switching tracks to Jammu and Kashmir, and ruckus broke out on the third day of the ongoing assembly session, and this is as the Deputy Chief Minister has gone ahead and, he passed the resolution to demand the restoration of Jammu and Kashmir's special status. The Jammu and Kashmir Union Territory Legislative Assembly passed a historic resolution seeking the restoration of the erstwhile state's special status under Article 370, which was revoked in August of 2019 by the centre. To get more on this, we have Nazir joining us. Nazir, take us through the proceedings of the assembly session and the ruckus that broke out with the BJP completely opposing, saying this is not what they were expecting.
Well, clearly it took everybody by surprise when suddenly Speaker announced that the Deputy Chief Minister Surinder Chaudhary will be moving a resolution on special revocation of special status, opposing it and demanding restoration of special status. As he read it, and it was seconded by Minister Sakina Yatu, then there was a pandemonium in House, and BJP members were shouting slogans, calling Surinder Chaudhary as Jai Chand of Jammu, and saying it is a Pakistani agenda, bringing this resolution. And there were slogans, and even they tore apart the copies of the resolution, while as the Treasury benches were showing the copies of and saying they want special status back. But let's talk more about it from with Aga Ruhullah, MP Srinagar, who has been vociferously talking about restoration of 370 and opposing this abrogation of 370. Aga Saab, so finally
finally the day has come. We made the bold promise. We made the promise throughout our campaign that we'll bring a resolution rejecting the decisions of August 5 and calling for the restoration of the dignity, the rights which is given to us through Article 370. And today we did it. I'm thankful to my party, to my colleagues, and most important of all, the Chief Minister, Mr. Omar Abdullah, for living up to the expectations of the people and fulfilling the commitment. This is not the end of all. This is the beginning of the road. I expect all of us to take this task and take this to the logical conclusion where we mean that the rights and the dignity of the people of Jammu and Kashmir is respected, and the union listens to what
and BJP is not
Jammu and Kashmir.
And BJP is strongly opposing it. They are not allowing House to function, even as the House was adjourned, but they are staying in the well of the House, still staying just at the House.
As expected, this behavior was not unexpected. They do not respect the sentiments of they do not demand it. This is how they have turned the entire nation into, and the institutions, to be more specific, you should respect the mandate of the institutions. This is all about theatrics and their political agenda. And more important than that is what the people of Jammu and Kashmir today said through the assembly. And I hope the entire nation listens to it. It is more important that they listen to it. They respect the mandate. They respect the opinion of the people. This has come democratically. This is a democratic forum. People today have expressed themselves democratically. Any democratic expression needs to be respected. If the people of the rest of the nation wants Jammu and Kashmir to be a part of a democracy, and we, the people of Jammu and Kashmir, to be a part of an India which is functional democracy, then the democratic opinion and mandates should be respected.
Thank you so much, Mr. Aga Ruhullah, Srinagar MP, who has been a strong votary and opposing abrogation of 370. The language, PDP has been questioning the language, saying it is a bit mild, but the fact is nobody was expecting that National Conference will keep its promise. And what Omar Abdullah has said, that the first transaction of the business of Jammu and Kashmir as a legislative assembly will be passing a resolution opposing abrogation of special status to Jammu and Kashmir and demanding restoration of special status. And in the resolution, which has been passed and 60 members have voted in favor of it. BJP's 28 members opposed it. And clearly a massive political development in Jammu and Kashmir on the third day of the first assembly session, which has happened after long 7 years and over 6 years of presidential rule in Jammu and Kashmir.
Thank you so much, Nazir, for getting us those details. We will be back with a whole lot more. But switching tracks for now, the Maharashtra election appears close, complex and chaotic, and it's been 2 days since Prime Minister Modi arrived in the state of Maharashtra to address his first 2 public meetings. But today is Rahul Gandhi, the leader of the opposition in the Lok Sabha, who will be launching the Mahavikas Aghadi's poll campaign along with other senior leaders of the opposition. However, the UBT has unveiled 5 poll promises. Shiv Sena chief Uddhav Thackeray has said that if his MVA government comes back into power in the state of Maharashtra, it would ensure that prices of 5 essential food items, including sugar, pulses as well as grain, are kept under check. Uddhav Thakray's poll promises came just hours after Maharashtra Chief Minister Eknath Shinde announced Mahayuti's 10 poll promises. That also includes high support for poor women, pensioners and farmers. My colleague Radhika breaks it down for us because it's guarantees versus guarantees, and what can we really expect today in the state of Maharashtra?
A lot of poll promises and SOPs being offered by both Mahayuti as well as MVA. In fact, yesterday Eknath Shinde promised 10 poll guarantees in Kolhapur. In fact, it involved financial assistance to women. We know for a fact that there had been a Ladki Behan scheme which involved giving women 1,500 per month. Eknath Shinde there, in fact, promising to increase the financial assistance to 2,100 per month if Mahayuti comes back to power. Besides that, of course, farm loan waiver and also more pension support for senior citizens, as well as creation of more jobs and stabilizing prices for essential commodities are some of the poll guarantees as far as Mahayuti is concerned. This is something that Eknath Shinde in his speech said in Kolhapur yesterday. But at the same time, Uddhav Thackeray also making a slew of poll promises on behalf of MVA, which again included financial assistance in terms of free education for girls and boys, recruitment of more women corps, and also stabilizing of essential prices of essential commodities, as well as a farm loan waiver and affordable homes to residents of Maharashtra, especially in Mumbai. So multiple guarantees, SOPs being given out by both the Mahayuti as well as MVA. We know for a fact that Rahul Gandhi is in Maharashtra today. He will be in Nagpur in just a bit, after which he will be in Mumbai for a public rally where he will be giving out a poll guarantee card of sorts, and more guarantees will be presented when all the MVA leaders will be part of that particular rally. Rahul Gandhi will be accompanied by Mallikarjun Kharge as well as Uddhav Thackeray, Sharad Pawar and several other top leaders of MVA. So more guarantees there. There could be an announcement of caste-based census, more farm loan waiver and also a counter to the Ladki Behan scheme as well. So guarantees after guarantees, but will that translate into votes? Will that really woo voters of Maharashtra and translate into votes? That remains to be seen.
Right, Radhika, we will keep coming back to you for more on that. Of course, also in Maharashtra, now regional manifesto that was released. We're talking about NCP's manifesto for Baramati, where Ajit Pawar has made promises, first of its kind. We're talking about a sports academy in Baramati. We're also talking about food processing units, solar energy and a lot more. And we have Anuj joining us. Anuj, take us through the promises that have been made by Ajit Pawar.
NCP's currently the program for manifesto publishing is currently on across the state. I'm standing here in Mumbai, but wherever there are NCP candidates here in the state, the program is taking place concurrently. We are seeing that NCP has released 2 types of manifestos. One is a regional manifesto which promises which tells people what to expect if NCP is elected to power there as far as that particular region is concerned. And then there is another much broader manifesto which talks about the entirety of the state. And there we can see that on very similar lines to what Chief Minister Eknath Shinde said yesterday, the promises which have been made here are also about an increase in the Maji Ladki Behan Yojana scheme from 1,500 rupees to 2,100 rupees. We are seeing that this entire manifesto is very student, women and farmer centric. They've also promised as many as 25 lakh jobs going ahead. They've stated that the ASHA workers would get an increased payment of 15,000 rupees from what is the case at the moment. They've also promised as a farmer's loan waiver, although the number has not been specified. NCP's manifesto specifically talks about having more number of roads. They've talked about increasing rural connectivity and increasing the number of road by as much as 45,000 rupees. And besides that, of course, as I said before, Ajit Pawar, while speaking from Baramati, specified on how he'll be working to get one of the first of its kind sports center in Baramati, keeping in mind the wrestling and the boxing culture there, and also talked about creating more jobs for people from the people from agrarian background as far as their profession is concerned.
Thanks for getting us all those details, and now let's just switch tracks. Live visuals on your screen of a campaign rally being held in Florida by Donald Trump, and from the looks of it, it seems like he might just be becoming the next president of the United States. We're talking about the Republicans there who have in fact won in 2 swing states. We're talking about the state of North Carolina as well as Georgia. Those 2 key battleground states have been won by Republicans. We're talking about Donald Trump winning there, and even in other swing states, we're talking about 4 other swing states where Donald Trump is in the lead. So it is Trump, this show of strength. That is what New York Times is saying. The Republicans are in the lead. There you can see numbers on your screen of Donald Trump winning at 247 with Kamala Harris at 214. Do remember this was a neck-to-neck race up until yesterday, but all that seems to be changing at the moment. And let's just go right across to our colleague Jennifer Glasse, who is joining us from Florida and taking us through what's really happening on the ground.
This is the convention center right here. This is where Donald Trump is expected to address the public. We understand that they are moving people from Mar-a-Lago here. And we've seen 2 motorcades come here so far. There was a helicopter overhead, so that might have been J.D. Vance when they moved him from the convention center back to Mar-a-Lago earlier today. That was the formation that they used. So we are expecting Donald Trump to speak from here at some point. But as the point has been made, many of the swing states have not yet been called. I think until he feels he has a very clear path to 270 or a clincher on 270, he may wait. But we do understand that folks from Mar-a-Lago, about 2.5 miles that way, are heading here to the convention center ahead of Trump's speech. There's been a real sense of excitement here. People have been lining the streets here. People were behind me just a few minutes ago with Trump flags. The motorcades went in just over there. As you can see, there are security fences all around the convention center, but traffic is flowing pretty freely. A huge security presence here, though. They have shut down streets here and there. They shut down the roads when the convoys make a move. But very much excitement among Trump supporters here today. They've gathered here in large numbers. They were lining the street earlier, and you can see some of them now moving out because all the action's going to move inside.
Right, and of course, Kamala Harris seems to be losing out as far as those battleground states are concerned. That really holds the key to who will win. And Trump has managed to flip a victory in states which had voted Democrats in 2020. We're talking about Donald Trump flipping Georgia in a huge setback to Kamala Harris. And it is Donald Trump who seems to be leading as far as the swing states are concerned. It is quite a huge setback to Kamala Harris, who was, as you know, in the race to become the first woman president of the United States. But there you can see numbers on your screen of her at 214 with Donald Trump at 247. So Donald Trump in the lead in all the swing states. As of now, 6 out of the 7 swing states is where Donald Trump is leading with a huge margin. That's what we are seeing. It was a very razor-thin margin that we were seeing early this morning, but all that seems to have changed with Donald Trump really flipping or states which were basically all Democrats, and they were supporting Democrats, but now it seems to be that they want a change. Could it be because they saw Kamala Harris as someone who would perhaps follow in the footsteps of Joe Biden? Is that why that they wanted a change, which is why they voted in for Donald Trump? Of course, there was a lot of stars supporting Kamala Harris. We saw Lady Gaga as well as Oprah Winfrey, a lot of film stars, movie stars and singers supporting Kamala Harris. And on the other side, Elon Musk, the biggest supporter that Donald Trump has. So, of course, how does this really change things for us back here in India? How will the relationships between India and US change under the regime of Donald Trump, who seems to be in the lead at the moment? And if he is set to become the next president of the United States, if he's going to make his re-entry into the White House after that huge loss that he suffered to Joe Biden in the last term in 2020. So how different can it be under Donald Trump? Can he really take care of the war in Gaza and in Ukraine? That's the big question. Donald Trump has been heard saying that if it was for him, there would never be a war in Ukraine. Well, and let's just also go across to Ashok Sajanhar, a former diplomat who is joining us.
We all love a bargain, like the Grants, who switched to Vodafone and are now paying less for their full fibre broadband, which means they're still double screening,
For about 45 years.
but for less. And last-minute panic downloading, but for less. Reliable full fibre broadband for less. And now switching to Vodafone full fibre broadband is easy with one touch switch. We sort everything out for you. We even call your current provider and help towards any leaving fees. So switch today.
Family life. It's made of ups and downs, and those little moments. But should the unthinkable happen to you? Life insurance from Legal & General can help look after monthly bills, the roof over their heads, childcare costs, and most importantly, your family. Because no one protects more families in the UK than us. Premiums start from £5 a month and they never rise. Plus there's a £120 gift card after you apply. Legal & General. Ensure life goes on.
Join me and the Style Squad. Shop now exclusively at Freeman's.
Breaking news. Duracell, the official partner of Williams Racing.
It's time for a power boost. I gotta train harder. Whoa! Power boost activated. Try Duracell Optima for the next level of power.
Whatever you need to ask about cancer, Macmillan's free support line is just a call away.
Hello, Macmillan.
Whether it's money or work worries.
Am I going to lose my job?
Getting on with life.
Can I still go abroad? Get insurance?
Or just need someone to listen.
How do I tell them?
Our specialist advisors are here to help as often as you need them. Whatever you need to ask, cancer, work, money, life, call us now on 0808 134 1000.
It's that time again as citizens put their doors in the drawer for People's Postcode Lottery's biggest ever prize pot.
In the December draws, you and your neighbours could win a share of £32.5 million.
Whether you own or rent, absolutely any door can enter. Sign up before midnight on the 1st of December.
A share of £32.5 million could be yours, but only if your door is in the draw.
I've been thinking, I want to plan my funeral so it feels more like a celebration. My parents always said I was born dancing. I just love it. Bhangra, disco, even line dancing. So when my time comes, I want to have music, dancing, the lot.
With over 150 years experience, you can count on Co-op Funeral Care to help you pre-plan the funeral you want. To find out more, visit Co-op Funeral Care or give us a call.
Questions really looms over how a second Trump administration might impact the India-US relationship. As a candidate, Trump has been very clear that he intends to revamp the United States foreign policy, focusing on America first. So how does this change things around?
Yeah, see, fundamentally, I see, if you look at now, it's almost a writing on the wall that Trump is going to win the elections, with almost 247 seats where he's leading vis-a-vis 214 where Kamala Harris is leading. And New York Times calls a 95% chance of Trump getting into the White House once again. So I think fundamentally I see this is a victory of, if at all, of course, victory is yet to be announced and it will take a few more hours or perhaps a couple of more days. It's men over women, more whites over non-whites, non-graduates over graduates, blue-collared over white-collared. I think, these are the kind of things which seem to have prevailed in the US. As far as India is concerned, I think a couple of things. Joe Biden was rather good to India, in multiple ways. Trump has always said that he's a very close friend of Prime Minister Modi, but I don't think it has translated into anything beyond verbosity and beyond, certain gesturing and posturing. It hasn't really. If you look at, he has talked about visas being curtailed, and he has talked about, import tariff, and he's talked about two countries in particular, China and India, where, import tariffs will go up to protect the domestic industry. None of this is going to be good for India at all, So I think when the Trump and Modi friendship is being talked about, I think our Prime Minister must negotiate what that friendship means for India. What does that friendship bring on the table for our country? I think that's very, very important. Otherwise, if you look at U.S. and Indian trade, in one of the very few countries where India has a trade deficit in its favor, which means that there's a deficit on the U.S. side in terms of imports, in terms of trade. So if the tariffs go up, it's going to impact very, very surely. And visas also, I hope it was only a posturing by Trump and he doesn't take it seriously. Because one thing is very clear, if America gives more visas to Indians, they're not doing us a favor. As a matter of fact, Indians go and meet their skill deficit very, very effectively. And also it makes their industry more competitive, not only in the domestic context, but internationally, globally. Because by Indians working there, it brings cost advantage, it brings the skills advantage, and multiple things. I think U.S. economy needs Indians.
Right.
When Tony passed, we wanted to celebrate him his way. All he ever spoke about was bite this, bite that. I'll never forget our first date. Huge grin on his face as he rode up on that big noisy thing. And that's exactly the way he'd want to be remembered.
At Co-op Funeral Care, we know everyone is different. That's why we offer funeral plans to funeral services that are personal, every step of the way.
Join me and the Style Squad. Shop now exclusively at Freeman's.
With Virgin Media, get smooth, lightning fast M125 broadband. Just £25 a month and no setup fee. And now it's even easier to switch to the provider awarded best broadband experience. Yeah, that's smooth. Virgin Media. See what you can do. Visit virginmedia.com.
Greetings, wonderful people of Britain. I'm Tom Allen, and it's my pleasure to declare delivering good news is a daily routine with People's Postcode Lottery. Curious on how it works? Well, prick up your ears and let me explain. Enter with your postcode to play. Own it, rent it, doesn't matter. Winning postcodes are announced every day with a whole host of delightful prizes that could be won by you and your neighbours.
And in our December draws, you could win a share of £32.5 million.
It costs £12 for a monthly subscription that guarantees you entry into all draws every month. You're also doing your part for charities, with players having raised £1.4 billion so far. Want to find out more or join? Then why not hop onto our website or dial our digits for a chit-chat. For a chance to win, sign up before midnight on the 1st of December. You never know, good news could be delivered to your postcode.
When you're setting up a new nest, starting your own flock, or they just keep on growing. Get the flexibility you need with VeryPay. Pay now, pay later, or pay over 3 months and pay no interest. We'll even send you helpful payment reminders. Shop the online store for fashion, home and more. Very Pay. Ways to pay that work your way.
Very much, Divya. And yes, these two questions that you posed, I think the influence and the political presence and the political clout of the Indian American diaspora, that is growing. We have seen that increasingly they have been becoming more influential, and their outreach is growing. They are by far the most well-educated diaspora community in the United States. Their numbers might be rather small, about 5 million or so, but they punch well above, their weight of just the numbers, because 5 million in a total of about 300 million plus is not all that large. But they are the most educated, they are the most prosperous also as far as any of the diaspora communities are concerned. And they have started becoming more and more politically active over recent years. So that is why we have seen also, if I could, Kamala Harris as the vice president, last time. And then, of course, there have been very many from both from the Democratic side as well as from the Republican side, whether it is Nikki Haley or it is Tulsi Gabbard. They have all been sort of, contesting for the presidential nomination of their own parties. But whether it is as congressmen, the numbers have been growing, and as you mentioned, Ro Khanna, and there are several others also who have been, who have entered the portals of power in the United States. So I think that is very important. Their significance is growing. And as far as relations between India and the United States are concerned, I'm sure they will continue to grow, they will continue to expand. Not only, the personal rapport that exists between Prime Minister Modi and Donald Trump, about which Donald Trump has been, has been speaking about it very openly. But I think if you were to look at the last tenure of Donald Trump, the relations between the two countries really took off. In terms of the personal rapport, let us, recognize that whether it was Barack Obama, Democrat, or Donald Trump or Joe Biden, the personal rapport chemistry has been great as far as Prime Minister Modi is concerned. And in all these three tenures of the three presidents, our relations have continued to grow and expand. In the tenure of Biden, of course, it is more recent, it is very well known, but even in the tenure of Donald Trump, our relations really skyrocketed, I would say, in every sense of the word. The pushback that Donald Trump provided to Pakistan in terms of the fact, I think everyone still remembers that tweet of 1st January 2018, when he said that, Pakistan takes all this money from us and treats us as fools and gives safe havens to terrorists that we are wanting. And he said America had given more than $30 billion as the against counter-terrorism support fund to Pakistan, and that is not going to happen. Also, as far as China is concerned, it is, I would say that Donald Trump is the first U.S. president who was, willing to push back against China. Its national security strategy of 2017 clearly identified China as a systemic threat as far as the United States is concerned. And of course, this is one of the issues which brings India and the United States together, but also in the area of defense, security, Indo-Pacific, Quad, you name it. There are such a huge number of areas where there, congruence and convergence was established when Mr. Trump was the president, and I'm sure that is going to continue.
Right, thank you for highlighting the difference that we've seen under the watch of Joe Biden and under Donald Trump in the past. Mr. Krishna, you know, Donald Trump had gone on to say that Indian students who are studying in the United States will be given green card visas because of the kind of education that they have in the United States, that they deserve to get that green card. Can we expect these kind of changes to come about? And what about Donald Trump's stand when it comes to immigration and when it comes to visas?
So, you know, that's what my quarrel with the Trump and his posturing to India, I have that quarrel with, I mean, on one hand, he has said that he'll be tight on immigration. He will not allow as many visas to professionals, including Indian professionals, because they are one of the biggest beneficiaries of, US visas. And when I'm told that he was told that this will go against the Indian community, then he talked about some kind of a fast track green card system for Indian students studying there. So I think that's my only problem, with the way this election is poised with Trump, if media is to be believed, with the 95% chance of getting elected, going to the White House again. What has worked is his America First, policy, Americanism at the cost of globalism. I mean, as more and more nations, and especially the world's most powerful and number one economy, the US. It is supposed to behave in a multilateral manner. He has behaved even in his campaign very unilaterally that only America matters, Americanism matters, America first. So which seems to have he's been able to strike a chord with the voters. Protectionism for domestic business, vis-a-vis global competition. So that has won. U.S. natives over migrants, that category has won. His indifference to the climate change, and relative, lower commitment of U.S. as a country to meet the climate challenge, that has won. That is what bothers me. Unpredictability over predictability has won. In his last term, he had lowered the funding to the UN. Not that UN is a perfect organization; it needs to be restructured. But the fact is, it needs to be reformed. But he had US as the largest funder for UN and many of its agencies. Its funding may go down. So I think divisive I'm sorry.
These elections are coming about at a time that we're seeing conflict, whether it's in Gaza or whether we're seeing conflict in Ukraine. How can things change going forward? Is Donald Trump's approach, how is that going to help the conflict that we're seeing? Can it change the situation when it comes to the world disorder that we're seeing?
So I have a feeling when it comes to Israel and Gaza, he would give Israel a little more free hand to deal with the crisis in the region. And that could be dangerous. That's my worry. And as far as Russia and Ukraine is concerned, Kamala Harris, her views were more pro-Ukraine. But with Donald Trump, it's very, very difficult to predict. Many times he has said that Putin is a great guy. He likes him, and so on and so forth. So which way the winds would blow for in so far as the U.S. stand over Russian aggression of Ukraine is concerned, only time will tell. But other policies of bullying China and aggression all the way, I think that is going to prevail, and that is what seems to have caught the fancy of American voters. And what can I say? I mean, may God bless America, and all the best to the Americans. That's all I can say. Almost, it seems like having chosen for Trump.
And may Donald Trump keep up with that promise of automatic green cards for foreign students graduating from US colleges, in particular to Indian students studying there. Just stay with us. We're just slipping into a very short break. Back with a whole lot more.
It's gonna take a lot to drag me away from you. There's nothing that 100 men or more could ever do. Down in Africa.
Luckily, Liam got 0% interest for 21 months on all the wedding surprises he bought with his Barclay card. What you buy is your business. Helping you pay less interest is ours. Barclay card. Make money work for you.
Transform hard chairs and surfaces into comfy seats with Soft Sitter from JML. The lightweight and portable gel cushion that helps provide all-day comfort and support no matter where you sit. Its clever hexagonal honeycomb construction cushions, distributes and supports your weight. And its breathable design allows air to circulate, helping to keep you cool. Perfect for all types of seats or as a kneeling pad. Get the comfort and support you need with Soft Sitter. Only $14.99 from Asda, Argos, Boots, Tesco and JMLdirect.com.
Want more from your energy than just bills? Whoa! What? With Ovo Beyond, you could save money on bills every month, get exclusive access to gigs, unlock a free boiler service, and bank greener rewards for tomorrow too. Nice. Switch to Ovo and get our free energy savings account and unlock savings and discounts worth up to £1,000. Search Ovo Beyond.
However your home uses the internet, EE has the perfect Wi-Fi for you. We've got full fiber for only $29.99 a month. Perfect for binging all your favorite shows with no upfront costs. Keep your whole home seamlessly connected with the UK's most reliable broadband technology. Powered by BT. And if that's still not enough, you can upgrade to Wi-Fi 7, where everything you love works better. No wonder families choose EE. Search EE Broadband Deals.
At Direct Line, we know that for multi-property landlords, sometimes the tiniest of things can turn into way bigger problems. From niggly contract issues to keeping up with ever-changing legislation. That's why Direct Line's landlord insurance offers a 24/7 legal helpline as standard. Because a call with someone could help to make the hairiest of problems feel that little bit smoother. Search Direct Line Landlord Insurance. We're on it.
Foodies, Gourmet Nature's Creations Gravy Heart is a meal made with heart. Outside a soft steam cooked mousse and inside a delicious gravy heart. With surprises like these, it's natural to get so many hearts. Gourmet Nature's Creations Gravy Heart by Purina. Buy now.
Save up to £220 on your home insurance. He's just used Confused. JustUsedConfused.com.
Well, it seems like Donald Trump is all set to become the next US president in a race. Well, the race is still on, but it is Kamala Harris who's lagging behind at 214 versus Donald Trump at 267, who seems to be winning and leading in most of the swing states. We're talking about those 7 states in which Donald Trump is leading in all 6. In the 7th state of Nevada, counting is yet to begin. Well, we're talking about Donald Trump there leading the way, all set to return to the White House after that defeat to Joe Biden in the last term in 2020. We have with us Ashok Sajjanhar as well as Jayant Krishna back with us. Ashok Sajjanhar, let's just compare Donald Trump and, when he was a president to Joe Biden when he was a president, the relationship that India's had with both the presidents. And going forward, what does this really mean as far as trade ties are concerned?
Yeah, excellent question, Divya. And I think I would say that the relations between India and the United States when Donald Trump was the president were excellent. When Joe Biden was the president, relations between the two countries were excellent. I think there were different challenges at those two different times. And both the leaders, Joe Biden and Trump, they worked together with India to deal with those challenges and to further strengthen that partnership. I think we need to keep in mind, Divya, that when Donald Trump came to power in January 2017, when he took the oath, and at that time, because he was following Barack Obama, against whom he seemed to have, some sort of anathema against him. So he changed many of the policies that Barack Obama had followed. You would recall whether it was the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement, he went out of that. Whether it was the Paris Climate Accord, he went out of that. Whether it was the JCPOA, the Iranian nuclear deal, he went out of that. Even on the domestic front, Obamacare, he sort of stepped out of that. But as far as the account with India is concerned, he continued to strengthen it. He continued to grow it and take it forward. I already mentioned about his stance on Pakistan. We haven't seen any other US president to take such a strong line and push back against Pakistan on the issue of terrorism as Donald Trump did. Also in the area of defense, in the area of collaboration between India and the United States on the subject of defense cooperation exercises, military exercises, etc. And similarly, in the case of Joe Biden also, we have seen that the relationship was very strong, very vibrant, and very expansive. Whether it is in terms of operationalization of the Quad, because the Quad reinvigoration of the Quad had taken place, but then taking it forward, Joe Biden, he took oath in January 2021, and within 2 months we had the first summit of the Quad countries. In September we had the first in-person summit, and over the last three and a half years, we've seen that there have been 6 summits of this organization. And, it means India's interest, it means also the US interest in terms of pushing back against China. We've also seen whether it is, the ISET, the initiative for critical and emerging technologies, that has brought the two countries together, because India is focused on Atmanirbhar Bharat. India is focused on going forward to achieve Viksit Bharat 2047. So for that, we need to become manufacturing country. And when Prime Minister Modi was invited as the state guest to the United States in June of 2023, we signed all these agreements on manufacturers setting up a semiconductor enterprise industry in India. And Micron Inc. would invest about $850 million here and a total of $2.75 billion. In the area of artificial intelligence, quantum computing, robotics, all these new areas, both NSA from our side and Jake Sullivan from the other side, they have been working together on this. There are a number of areas also as far as India's presidency of G20 is concerned. That also was very significant. The support from the United States and Joe Biden was very significant in taking it forward to a successful conclusion. It was during Joe Biden's time that Prime Minister Modi was invited for the second time to address the joint session of the US Congress. So I think on both of these tenures, 4 years with Trump and about a little less than 4 years with Biden, our relations have continued to grow, have continued to expand, and the personal vibes and the personal rapport and chemistry between India and between Prime Minister Modi and these leaders has been very strong. Today, India is a much bigger economy. When possibly Trump came to power in 2017, India was possibly 8th or 9th largest economy in the world. Today is the 5th largest economy, going to become the 3rd largest economy. So I think the possibility and the prospects, potential of our cooperation over the next 4 years during the second term of Donald Trump, I think they are even greater, although I do recognize that he has identified India as the tariff king, and he said he is going to impose tariffs on India 10%, etc. And this is going to, in some way, have an adverse impact on India's economic growth and India's exports, which are an integral element of our GDP expansion. But that having been said, We know that Trump is transactional. I'm sure we can sort of engage him and enter into some sort of a deal, a mutually beneficial deal, a mutually beneficial arrangement, as we were able to do last time.
Right.
If you recall, we imported aircraft, we imported LNG from there, basically to bring down the tariff surplus, the trade surplus that India has with the United States. And I'm sure we can work together with Trump, both on trade as well as on strategic issues to mutual benefit and advantage.
Right. Mr. Krishna, of course, we do know Donald Trump's take when it comes to immigration, whether it comes to defense as well as trade, like Mr. Sajjanhar pointed out. But if Donald Trump was to become the next US president, what does this mean for India in terms of technology partnership, especially in terms of semiconductors, something that's been initiated under Biden's watch?
Yeah, absolutely. One hopes that, some of the initiatives which were embarked upon during Biden's time, especially the US-India initiative on critical and emerging technologies, the ISET, it hope it prospers and, it moves ahead. See, India today is a very, very critical country for any government, any president in the US to ignore, for two reasons. One, India fits very well as US's counter China strategy, from a economic standpoint as well as from a strategic standpoint, given the geopolitical, the look, where in the world geography India is located, sharing its border with China, So I think nobody can ignore, but I think initiatives like these, initiatives like artificial intelligence, initiatives like, ISET I just spoke about, but even semiconductor, where India has embarked upon an important mission and couple of, major big ticket projects are, at the different stages of getting negotiated and implemented. I think their continuity in the policy would be very, very important. Even the fighter, the aircraft engine manufacturing, the tie-up between, GE and India. I think that's something also has to see the light of the day. That's extremely important. And more importantly, I think Prime Minister Modi, if Trump becomes the president, which looks in all likelihood, he should negotiate and solicit a very, very direct support from Trump for India's emergence as an alternate manufacturing supply chain for people who are especially a lot of big American companies who are looking to locate part of their manufacturing supply chains at destination other than China. I think, although I understand it is not a political decision, it is always taken by the businesses. But a direct support from the political leadership would help India's cause in a very, very big manner because of a variety of reasons. So I hope that some of these initiatives which started during Joe Biden and Modi's time progressed rather than getting curtailed. That's very, very important because for India to grow, I think AI, defense manufacturing and semiconductor, quantum computing, they are very, very important areas. So I think India must, we must get down to business right from day one, rather than just keep on exchanging pleasantries. I think it's very important that India gets down to doing business once Trump is in White House.
Right,
Which
back in the White
seems
House, thank you so much, Mr. Krishna and Mr. Sajjanhar, for speaking with us. And of course, our conversations will continue in the course of the day as the US elections. When can we really know who's really going to become the US president? I mean, of course, it seems like it is Donald Trump. When are the results really out? Well, it could take a little longer. It really depends on when the cast-in ballots will be counted. And of course, sometimes they come in just the night itself or the very next morning. But this time, it might just take a little while longer. Last time around, the elections were held on the 3rd of November. Do remember, elections are held only on a Tuesday, and that's a tradition that they've been following since 1845 as far as the US elections are concerned. And last time, from the 3rd of November, election results only came out on the 7th of November. Now, while we're talking about the Indian community in the United States, it's Suhas Subramaniam who has made history as the first Indian American elected from Virginia as the Indian American Democrat who won the US House seat, making him the first Indian American congressman of the East Coast. He's spoken about working for the Indian American community and says he wants to be a congressman for everyone. Let's listen.
Congratulations, I'm standing next to the latest Indian-American U.S. Congressman, Suhas Subramanian, a Democrat. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
How do you like the sound of that, Congressman Suhas Subramanian?
Yeah, it's Congressman-elect, but yeah, I look forward to being sworn in, and I look forward to just being a voice. It's not about the title, it's about the service to the community.
Right. So, Suhas, you will also be important to mention here to our viewers that you will now become the first Indian-American congressman from the East Coast. Is that correct?
Yeah, in the South. And we have a big Indian-American South Asian population here in our district in Northern Virginia, and so it's special, I know, to me and to many people. But I want to be a congressman for all Virginians. I want to be a voice for everyone, even the people that voted against me tonight. I want to make sure that we're just working together collaboratively. Even if we don't agree, it's really important that we bridge some of the divides in our politics.
It's going to be a tough ride, and you've probably thought about this. What if Donald Trump is in the White House and not Kamala Harris, and you're there in Congress?
I'll work with whomever is in the White House. I'll work with anyone to get things done for my community.
Well, I want to thank you all very much. This is great. These are our friends. We have thousands of friends on this incredible movement. This was a movement like nobody's ever seen before. And frankly, this was, I believe, the greatest political movement of all time. There's never been anything like this in this country, and maybe beyond. And now it's going to reach a new level of importance because we're going to help our country heal. We're going to help our country heal. We have a country that, and it needs help very badly. We're going to fix our borders. We're going to fix everything about our country. And we made history for a reason tonight, and the reason is going to be just that. We overcame obstacles that nobody thought possible, and it is now clear that we've achieved the most incredible political thing. Look what happened. Is this crazy? But it's a political victory that our country has never seen before, nothing like this. I want to thank the American people for the extraordinary honor of being elected your 47th president and your 45th president. And to every citizen, I will fight for you, for your family, and your future. Every single day, I will be fighting for you, and with every breath in my body, I will not rest until we have delivered the strong, safe, and prosperous America that our children deserve and that you deserve. This will truly be the golden age of America. That's what we have to have. This is a magnificent victory for the American people that will allow us to make America great again. And in addition to having won the battleground states of North Carolina, I love these places, Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, we are now winning in Michigan, Arizona, Nevada, and Alaska, which would result in us carrying at least 315 electoral votes. But it's much easier doing what the networks did or whoever called it, because there was no other path. There was no other path to victory. We also have won the popular vote. That was great. Very proud of that. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. And, winning the popular vote was very nice, I will tell you. It's a great feeling of love. We have a great feeling of love in this very large room with unbelievable people standing by my side. These people have been incredible. They've made the journey with me, and we're going to make you very happy. We're going to make you very proud of your vote. I hope that you're going to be looking back someday and say that was one of the truly important moments of my life when I voted for this group of people beyond the president, this group of great people. America has given us an unprecedented and powerful mandate. We have taken back control of the Senate. Wow, that's good. And the Senate races in Montana, Nevada, Texas, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, were all won by the MAGA movement. They helped so much. And in those cases, every one of them, we worked with the senators. They were tough races. And I mean, the number of victories in the Senate was absolutely incredible. And we did tele-rallies. We did tele-rallies with each one of them. And sometimes we did 2 or 3 and it was amazing to look at all of those victories. Nobody expected that, nobody. So I just wanted to thank you very much for that. And you have some great senators and some great new senators. And it also looks like we'll be keeping control of the House of Representatives. And I want to thank Mike Johnson. I think he's doing a terrific job, terrific job. I want to also thank my beautiful wife, Melania, First Lady. Who has the #1 best-selling book in the country. Can you believe that? Oh, no, she's done a great job, works very hard to help people. So I just want to thank her. But I want to thank my whole family, my amazing children, and they are amazing children. Now, we all think our children are amazing. Everybody here thinks their children are amazing, but that's a good thing when you think they are. But Don, Eric, Ivanka, Tiffany, Barron, Laura, Jared, Kimberly, Michael, thank you all. What a help. What a great. My father-in-law, Victor, is tremendous, and we miss very much Melania's mother, Amalia. We miss Amalia, don't we, huh? She would be very happy right now, standing on this stage. She'd be so proud. She was a great woman, that one. Beautiful inside and out. She was a great woman. I want to be the first to congratulate our great, now I can say, Vice President-elect of the United States, J.D. Vance. And his absolutely remarkable and beautiful wife, Usha Vance. And he is a feisty guy, isn't he? You know, I've said, go into the enemy camp, and you know the enemy camp is certain networks, and a lot of people don't like to, sir, do I have to do that? He just goes, okay, which one, CNN, MSDNC? He'll say, all right, thank you very much. He actually looks fine. He's like the only guy I've ever seen. He really looks forward to it, and then he just goes in and absolutely obliterates them. Say a couple of words.
Wow. Well, Mr. President, I appreciate you allowing me to join you on this incredible journey. I thank you for the trust that you placed in me. And I think that we just witnessed the greatest political comeback in the history of the United States of America. And under President Trump's leadership, we're never going to stop fighting for you, for your dreams, for the future of your children. And after the greatest political comeback in American history, we're going to lead the greatest economic comeback in American history under Donald Trump's leadership.
Thank you very much. He's turned out to be a good choice. I took a little heat at the beginning, but he was, I knew the brain was a good one, about as good as it gets. And we love the family, and we're going to have a great 4 years, and we're going to turn our country around, make it something very special. It lost that little thing called special. We have to make it so. We're going to make this so great. It's the greatest country and potentially the greatest country in the world by far. And right now, we're going to just work very hard to get all of that back. We're going to make it the best it's ever been. We can do that. If we had to wait longer, I don't know. It was going bad, and it was going bad fast. We're going to have to seal up those borders, and we're going to have to let people come into our country. We want people to come back in, but we have to let them come back in, but they have to come in legally. They have to come in legally. Let me also express my tremendous appreciation for Susie and Chris, the job you did. Susie, come here. Come here, Susie. Chris, come here, Chris. Susie likes to stay sort of in the back, let me tell you. The Ice Maiden, we call her the Ice Maiden. Come here, Chris. Come here, Chris. Susie likes to stay in the background. She's not in the background. Come here, Susie.
This wasn't expected, but I just want to thank, obviously, President Trump for this journey. It was a great one, and he's a hell of a candidate, and he's going to be a hell of a great 47th president. And this team that we had, the best team, and, of course, even my boss, Susie Wiles, the best. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, Susie. Look at her, she's shy. I've never seen her be shy before. Susie. They're great. Everybody up here is great. Everybody up here is very special. But the Trump, who did you say? Oh, let me tell you, we have a new star. A star is born, Elon. Now he is. Now he's an amazing guy. We were sitting together tonight. You know, he spent 2 weeks in Philadelphia and different parts of Pennsylvania, campaigning. You know, he sent the rocket up 2 weeks ago, and I saw that rocket, and I saw it coming down. I saw it. When it left, it was beautiful, shiny white. When it came down, it didn't look so pretty. It was going 10,000 miles an hour, and it was burning like hell. I said, what happened to your paint job? He said, we've never made a paint that could withstand that kind of heat. And but I saw it come down and turn around. And it was, you know, it's like 22 stories tall, by the way. It looks a little smaller than that, but it's big. And it came down, and you saw that fire burning. And I'm saying, only Elon can do this. It must be an Elon. And I tell the story. I told it last night. I had a man on the phone. I had the screen muted, no sound. I was talking to a very important man, happens to be here. And that very important guy, one of the most important people in, I would say, the country, actually. But, you know, I was president, and now it looks like I was going to be maybe president again, so I figured I could ask him to hold. So I asked him to hold. And especially because you're going to be president again, they hold. So I took the phone down, and I'm looking at the screen. I'm seeing this crazy thing that's going around and coming down. It looks like it's going to crash into the gantry. And I said, oh, no. And I said, do me a favor, do you mind holding for a couple of minutes? I want to see this. I thought it was a space-age movie or something. I put the phone down, bad part, I didn't pick it up for 45 minutes, and he was holding. But this spaceship came down, and I saw those engines firing, and it looked like it was over, it was going to smash, and then I saw the fire pour out from the left side, and it put it straight, and it came down so gently, and then it wrapped those arms around it, and it held it, and just like you hold your baby at night, your little baby. And it was a beautiful thing to see, and I called Elon. I said, Elon, was that you? He said, yes, it was. I said, who else can do that? Can Russia do it? No. Can China do it? No. Can the United States do it other than you? No. Nobody can do that. I said, that's why I love you, Elon. That's great. And you know, when we had the tragic Hurricane Helene, and it hit North Carolina, they were really devastated, the water. This was a big water, as big as we've ever seen, water hurricane. It built lakes out of nothing. Fields became lakes, and the danger was unbelievable. And the people from North Carolina came to me and they said, would it be possible, at all possible, for you to speak to Elon Musk? We need Starlink. I said, what's Starlink? It's a form of communication. So I called Elon, and I'll tell you what, he had, and it was very dangerous. People would die. They had no communication. All the wires were down. I called Elon Musk. I said, Elon, you have something called Starlink. Is that right? Yes, I do. What the hell is it? He said, it's a communication system that's very good. I said, Elon, they need it really, really badly in North Carolina. Can you get it? He had that there so fast. It was incredible. So, and it was great. It saved a lot of lives. He saved a lot of lives. But he's a character, he's a special guy, he's a super genius. We have to protect our geniuses. We don't have that many of them. We have to protect our super geniuses. I want to thank some of the guys. You know, we have up here today the U.S. Open champion. He's a fantastic golfer. He's slightly longer than me. It's a little bit longer than me. Just a little bit. Bryson DeChambeau is up here someplace. What happened to Bryson? Where is he? Bryson. Oh, he was shot. He's hitting balls. Oh, he's on the way. He's hitting balls. Bryson. Oh, look at him. He had he's got a great career going. Great U.S. Open, Bryson. That's a fantastic job. And we also have a man, Dana White, who has done some job. He's a tough guy. So Dana started UFC and came to me, do you mind if I use your, nobody wanted to give him Marines because they said it's a rough sport, a little rough. And I helped him out a little bit, and I went, and I said, this is the roughest sport I've ever seen, but I began to like it, and he loved it, and nobody's done a better job in sports. And you know, he's a very motivational kind of a guy, what he does. He gets these fighters, and they really go at it, and it's become one of the most successful sports enterprises anywhere at any time. It's doing so well. I'd like to ask Dana just to say a couple of words, because people love to hear from him. Dana,
please. Nobody deserves this more than him, and nobody deserves this more than his family does. This is what happens when the machine comes after you. What you've seen over the last several years, this is what it looks like. Couldn't stop him. He keeps going forward. He doesn't quit. He's the most resilient, hard-working man I've ever met in my life. His family are incredible people. This is karma, ladies and gentlemen. He deserves this. They deserve it as a family. I want to thank some people real quick. I want to thank the Nelk boys, Aiden Ross, Theo Vaughn, Bussin' with the boys, and last but not least, the mighty and powerful Joe Rogan. And thank you, America. Thank you. Have a good night.
That is a piece of work. No, he's really an amazing guy. But most of all, I want to thank the millions of hardworking Americans across the nation who have always been the heart and soul of this really great movement. We've been through so much together, and today you showed up in record numbers to deliver a victory like probably like no other. This was something special, and we're gonna pay you back. We're gonna do the best job. We're gonna turn it around. It's got to be turned around. It's got to be turned around fast, and we're gonna turn it around. We're gonna do it in every way, with so many ways, but we're gonna do it in every way. This will forever be remembered as the day the American people regained control of their country. So I just want to say that on behalf of this great group of people, these are hard-working people. These are fantastic people, and we can add a few names like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He came in. And he's going to help make America healthy again. And now he's a great guy, and he really means it. He wants to do some things, and we're going to let him go to it. I just said, but Bobby, leave the oil to me. We have more liquid gold, oil and gas. We have more liquid gold than any country in the world, more than Saudi Arabia. We have more than Russia. Bobby, stay away from the liquid gold. Other than that, go have a good time, Bobby. We're going to be paying down debt. We're going to be reducing taxes. We can do things that nobody else can do. Nobody else is going to be able to do it. China doesn't have what we have. Nobody has what we have. But we have the greatest people also. Maybe that's the most important thing. This campaign has been so historic in so many ways. We've built the biggest, the broadest, the most unified coalition. They've never seen anything like it in all of American history. They've never seen it. Young and old, men and women, rural and urban. And we had them all helping us tonight. When you think, I mean, I was looking at it, I was watching it. They had some great analysis of the people that voted for us. Nobody's ever seen anything like that. They came from all corners, union, non-union, African American, Hispanic American, Asian American, Arab American, Muslim American. We had everybody, and it was beautiful. It was a historic realignment, uniting citizens of all backgrounds around a common core of common sense. You know, we're the party of common sense. We want to have borders. We want to have security. We want to have things be good, safe. We want great education. We want a strong and powerful military, and ideally we don't have to use it. You know, we had no wars. 4 years we had no wars, except we defeated ISIS. We defeated ISIS in record time, but we had no wars. They said, he will start a war. I'm not going to start a war. I'm going to stop wars. But this is also a massive victory for democracy and for freedom. Together, we're going to unlock America's glorious destiny. We're going to achieve the most incredible future for our people. Yesterday, as I stood at my last stop on the campaign trail, I'll never be doing a rally again. Can you believe it? I think we've done 900 rallies approximately from the, can you imagine? 901, something, a lot of rallies. And it was sad. Everybody was sad. Many people, I said, this is our last rally. But now we're going on to something that's far more important, because the rallies were used for us to be put in this position where we can really help our country. That's what we're going to do. We're going to make our country better than it ever has been. And I said that many people have told me that God spared my life for a reason. And that reason was to save our country and to restore America to greatness. And now we are going to fulfill that mission together. We're going to fulfill that mission. The task before us will not be easy, but I will bring every ounce of energy, spirit, and fight that I have in my soul to the job that you've entrusted to me. This is a great job. There's no job like this. This is the most important job in the world. Just as I did in my first term, we had a great first term, a great first term. I will govern by a simple motto: promises made, promises kept. We're going to keep our promises. Nothing will stop me from keeping my word to you, the people. We will make America safe, strong, prosperous, powerful, and free again. And I'm asking every citizen all across our land to join me in this noble and righteous endeavor. That's what it is. It's time to put the divisions of the past 4 years behind us. It's time to unite. And we're going to try. We're going to try. We have to try. And it's going to happen. Success will bring us together. I've seen that. I've seen that. I saw that in the first term. When we became more and more successful, people started coming together. Success is going to bring us together, and we are going to start by all putting America first. We have to put our country first for at least a period of time. We have to fix it. Because together we can truly make America great again for all Americans. So I want to just tell you what a great honor this is. I want to thank you. I will not let you down. America's future will be bigger, better, bolder, richer, safer, and stronger than it has ever been before. God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Voters, Trump praises Vice President nominee J.D. Vance, Melania Trump, Elon Musk, and others in his speech. Trump says the golden age of America has arrived now after his victory. Reiterates his stand on immigration, which has been a key poll issue in the United States. He said, and I quote, that borders of America will be sealed immediately and no illegal migrant will be allowed in America from now on. Well, viewers, the unthinkable has happened, and opinion polls have been proved to be inaccurate yet again. Donald Trump, the former president, has secured another presidential victory. The development has sent shockwaves through Washington and across the globe. There you have it, Donald Trump addressing in Florida, making big remarks, saying God saved his life for a reason, to make America bigger, bolder, safer, and more prosperous. Big statements coming after the victory speech that he just now delivered. My colleague Jennifer is also joining me from Florida. Jennifer, a very interesting speech. Before even the final results, we have Donald Trump ushering and declaring victory. As we can see, the numbers are also ruling in his favor. How is the support and the atmosphere in the US now? Take us through it.
Well, right here in Florida, it's very triumphant. There are Trump supporters everywhere. You'll see cars driving by honking their horns. People have been coming down here all day. People were listening to that speech on the radios in their cars. There are Trump supporters walking down the street right now wearing their Make America Great Again hats. It's very triumphant mood here. Many came down here to see his motorcade pull into the convention center behind me and to listen to what he had to say. Many said they were confident. I spoke to a couple earlier this year who actually voted in Chicago this morning and then flew here to Florida, where they have another residence, to see Donald Trump, just to be here for the excitement. There was definitely a party atmosphere here. It's cleared out a little bit because we had a huge rainfall about a half an hour ago, which kind of cleared the streets a bit, but people are out and about again, and with the speech over, they're walking the streets again. Many people waving flags. A lot of people gathered down there where Donald Trump will presumably leave by motorcade and head back to Mar-a-Lago at some point, but right now inside that convention center celebrating. I think notable about that speech, we heard a lot of the normal Donald Trump stuff. He's going to work on immigration, make America great again. He said RFK would make America healthy again. Of course, RFK has been Robert Kennedy Jr. has been in the news of late and is presumed to be a front runner for a cabinet post. if and when Donald Trump takes office early next year. But also Donald Trump sounded a very conciliatory note saying that, you know, he wanted to bring people together and stop the divisions. That is something very new that we've seen moving forward with him. And of course, it was a very, very divided campaign, a very, very divided battle. Donald Trump declaring victory where it seems all but certain, even though it has not been declared. And the move, like you can hear the music. I'm not sure if you can hear the music to start playing here. The mood here very, very jubilant and upbeat.
Absolutely, Jennifer, and take us through how the day will look like for Donald Trump. It is night over there, but the morning is brighter for Donald Trump right now. How is he planning to take it forward? And do we know anything about Kamala Harris? She was supposed to address the reporters. Is she going to address it now, or is the plan still dull?
It's unclear. I believe Kamala Harris left her watch party in a somber mood. Pennsylvania has not been officially declared, and it might take a while to declare that. I'm not exactly sure what the Harris campaign will do. I'm sure Donald Trump will start making moves towards the presidency. What happens is in the days and weeks and months ahead of January 20th, when a new president is sworn in, there's a transition between the old administration and the new administration. I'm sure Donald Trump will be vetting candidates. He's been talking to candidates for his cabinet and moving forward. Of course, he's done this once before. He's been president before. So it is a unique moment in history. J.D. Vance called it the greatest political comeback in American history, and perhaps that is so. But Donald Trump will return to the White House. So he is unlike other president-elects. He is not president-elect yet, but he would be unlike other president-elects in that he knows his way around the Oval Office. He knows his way around Washington, and the question is how he will navigate it this time.
Absolutely, and what remains on the priority list has to be also taken care of. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for joining us. Viewers, don't go anywhere. This is a rolling coverage here at NDTV. We are slipping into a very short break for now.
When Tony passed, we wanted to celebrate him his way. All he ever spoke about was bite this, bite that. I'll never forget our first date. Huge grin on his face as he rode up on that big noisy thing. And that's exactly the way he'd want to be remembered.
At Co-op Funeral Care, we know everyone is different. That's why we offer funeral plans to funeral services that are personal, every step of the way.
We know travel can be confusing. That's why I use travelup.com. You can upgrade your seat, one way or return, increase your baggage allowance, filter by flight time, journey duration, and customer rating. And while you're away, TravelUp has you covered. From weather updates and on-demand taxi services to event and excursion tickets, all at your fingertips. Book now on travelup.com or call 0207 580 5000. TravelUp, flights, hotels, holidays.
जावेद साहब और आपकी जोड़ी जो आइकॉनिक जोड़ी मानी जाती है, उसका ख्याल किसको आया था?
उसका ख्याल ये आया कि हम साथ में काम कर रहे थे।
हाँ।
और यहाँ सिप्पी फिल्म्स के अंदर एक स्टोरी डिपार्टमेंट बनाया था उन्होंने, जो अपना रमेश सिप्पी ने। तो उसमें एक कमरा था, एक फ्लैट था, उसमें एक कमरा था, वहाँ हम लोग बैठ के काम करते थे। तो सब अपने अपने आइडियाज़ लाते थे, सब अपने अपने वो लेके आते थे प्लॉट, और उस पर काम करते थे। तो उसमें मैं और जावेद साहब ने कहा कि वहाँ चलते हैं, नौकरी ढूंढते हैं, इसलिए काम हम तो था नहीं। तो वी वेंट देयर। तो उन्होंने कहा कि कुछ सुनाइए, आपके पास कुछ हो। तो हमने अपने पास जो प्लॉट थे या जो भी क्या कैरेक्टर्स थे उसको सुना है। तो उन्होंने हमको 750 रुपये महीने पर रख लिया, समझे। और उसके बाद जो हमारी तरक्की होती गई 7,500 से 10,000।
लेकिन स्टोरी के आइडियाज आपके ही आते थे?
ये
स्टोरी आइडियाज आपके
स्टोरी आइडिया होते थे। सब फिर जो होते थे उनके जो राइटर्स थे वो बैठ के उसका कमरे में काम करके इसकी बनाते थे स्क्रिप्ट। उस ज़माने में वो पिक्चर वाली अंदाज़ हाँ जिसमें राजेश खन्ना था, जिंदगी एक सफर है सुहाना,
ब्लॉकबस्टर फिल्म।
सुपर हिट गाना था वो था। और उस जमाने में बनी है सीता और गीता बनी है।
Borders, which of course he did when he was president the first time. One note is that he was conciliatory. He said he was going to heal the divisions in America. He thanked every American. A little more conciliatory than we've seen him in his campaign speeches, which have been quite bullish. But also one note that was common with his campaign speeches, he did go off on a tangent to talk about the landing of one of Elon Musk's rockets that was landed and caught by a gantry. That's a story that he's told before on his campaigns and went off today on a little tangent.
Absolutely, Jennifer. Thank you so much for summarizing that speech for us. I'm also being joined by a esteemed panel of guests with me here on NDTV. Irana Sakama, geopolitical analyst, Brahma Chalani, strategic affair expert, and Ayanjit Sen, international affairs expert. Thank you all for joining me here at NDTV. Irina, if I can come to you first, is the election outcome surprising? And what factors do you think has contributed to Trump's victory?
Yes and no. It was a surprise in the sense that towards the end of the campaign, Trump seemed to be stumbling, making many missteps. The polls were very unclear, and it was really very actually difficult to predict who would actually pull out ahead. The election was so close, and there was so much noise going on that either result would have been in some ways a surprise. Trump's election is unique because he's only the second president to be re-elected after losing a consecutive term. So in that sense, it's also a huge comeback for him. And of course, the fact that he flipped two of the states he lost in 2020 is another major difference that makes this election unique. But the entire election was full of surprises, twists, and turns. Two assassination attempts, criminal investigations, trials, and even a guilty verdict in a felony. All of these combined factors make for an extremely unusual election, a whodunit of elections in some ways.
Right. Mr. Brahmacharani, how do you see this election result? Were you expecting this?
In 2016, when Donald Trump won, it came as a dramatic surprise to everyone. And his political comeback today is equally dramatic. No one expected that. Clearly, the polls that were being done in the US underestimated his strength. There is a rightward shift in American politics. Even in the traditionally Democratic states, Kamala Harris' margin of victory was far lower than that of Joe Biden in 2020. So clearly, the mood in the US has changed quite a bit. But I think internationally, Donald Trump's victory carries major implications because Joe Biden became the pro-war president and Trump has committed to ending the war in Ukraine. The US and its allies have funneled more than $200 billion of military and economic aid to Ukraine, but that aid has failed to turn the tide in the war. Russia continues to make incremental advances. It already holds nearly 1/5 of Ukraine's territory. So ending that war would also facilitate a mediating role for India because somebody has to intervene, some honest broker. And Modi has been ready to play the role of a broker, to broker a ceasefire. He went to Kyiv, he went to Moscow, he has met Putin a couple of times already this year. So he's in a position to broker a ceasefire. And now that Trump is likely to be the president and will be sworn in
on January 20th, the US policy is likely to shift in favor of a ceasefire as a first step to ending this conflict. But Trump's political comeback is also good news for US-India relations. Now, rebuilding mutual respect and trust in the US-India relationship can begin, because that respect and trust was shattered under the Biden presidency, especially as his cognitive decline became increasingly apparent and he ceded decision-making to members of his inner circle. And we have seen how this inner circle have tried to use leverage against India, raising human rights issues, playing the Khalistan card against India, trying to interfere in India's election earlier this year. That damage to the relationship will have to be repaired, and that requires rebuilding mutual respect and trust. Under Trump, that process can begin because when he was president from 2017 onward, US-India relations thrived. He put India at the center of his Indo-Pacific strategy.
Right.
And he has a good occasion with Prime Minister Modi. So it's very good news for US-India ties that Trump is returning as president.
Absolutely. Mr. Brahmacharani, thank you for that viewpoint. Ayanjit Sen, if I can come to you, how will Trump's victory impact international relations, particularly with countries that have been critical of his policies? Mr. Brahmacharani has highlighted how it is